We're recording and the chat room is waiting. We are streaming all kind of places, so let's start the countdown to Studio 11 tonight. Well, good evening and welcome to Studio 11 of PJNet.tv. I kind of hold this studio for our female, guests, and we have two female guests tonight. So I thought you'd enjoy the softer, more, the lavender and all that. Anyway, okay, every month about this time, first Wednesday, Stephanie Pavlantos comes by to see us. Now, tonight's a little different. Not that she's not going to come by and see us. She is. But tonight, she has something of her own to talk about. What you been doing lately, Stephanie? You been finding anything to do or sitting around the house?
Oh, no. I've been keeping busy. I had a book launch yesterday. So it was the release of my Bible study, Jewels of Hebrews. And I did all sorts of stuff to get ready for that. So I had 13 days of jewels, where I did a graphic each day with a different jewel on it and something from the book. And then I had 13 hours of jewels on the day of its release. So it was
Didn't
crazy.
you do like 13 live Facebook things, didn't you?
Yeah, I seem like it did. I don't know how many live Facebook things I did, but I was on quite a bit, so.
Okay.
It was fun. I was really nervous, but it was fun.
I don't know. Now, who was helping you with all this?
No one. Well, my publisher actually set up the page and the launch page, which we had the virtual party on. And that, of course, is Mount Zion Ridge Press. And so, but I was alone in my room, so with all my guests on Facebook.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like
I was
me
in
here.
this room.
Yeah.
Me and all my friends.
Okay, so let's pretend for the moment that somehow somebody watching this missed all of that. Tell us about your new book, The Jewels. I think there's 13. How many chapters are in the book of Hebrews?
There are 13 chapters.
13.
And yes, and so I did 13 jewels. It was basically, I was, I'm not really a theme person, but like when I had gotten to chapter 6, it was like the Holy Spirit just kind of said, do the jewels. And I'm like, what? Do what jewels? And I was thinking about Moses and the and especially like the high priest and the breastplate and the jewels that are on it. And it was really cool because as I was going back then, because I had 6 chapters to go back to and restart, in a sense, tweak with a new jewel, it was amazing how they all fit perfectly. And they were just, as I found one, I would see if that one would work. So, like, for instance, chapter 1 is the amethyst. And they don't necessarily go with the breastplate, the ephod of the high priest, but they are 13. And so amethyst in Hebrews 1 talks about the fact that Jesus is not a great man, he's not an angel, he is deity, he is a king. And so I go, oh, amethyst, and I found this site that actually talks about that, the colors and the biblical meanings of some of the colors of the stones. And so purple, of course, means kingship,
royalty,
and majesty, royalty. So I started putting it together with the theme of each chapter in Hebrews. So it was really cool how it fit together. It wasn't hard because because the Lord knew what he was doing and I didn't. And so it just kind of all fit together for me. And it was so cool because, like, when I get to chapter 9, it's the ruby. And that chapter talks about the sacrifice of bulls and goats. And of course, ultimately, how that does not save us. It's the blood of Christ that saves us. And so we talk about blood in that chapter. And so I do it tactfully. being a livestock owner, um, like those who are also like JD and stuff, there are times that you deal with blood, you deal with injuries, you deal with, whatever
Well,
happens
ultimately, they're
to,
going to slaughter.
yeah, that too. And so, yeah, and most people don't have a clue of, of blood and and just even how messy it was at that time, because when they slaughtered an animal, it bled and it was noisy. Um, unless you put the animal down right away with the technology we have today, the ways that it is done, the animal gets, pretty much killed. But back then, it wasn't like that. And some animals, not to be gross, but they didn't die quickly,
Yeah.
and the blood went everywhere. And so we lose the idea that it was a messy thing to slaughter these animals, to sacrifice these animals. And if you can imagine, the priests were covered,
Mm-hmm.
and so was
Mm-hmm.
anybody standing near it. So I kind of go into what that means. But even though we weren't near the cross when Jesus died, his blood splattered on us because we are his. And by accepting him as our savior, his blood splattered on us to save us. So that's how I kind of bring it all together
Well,
in
as
that
you were
chapter.
talking about that, it's almost like, well, let's skip to something else. This is really gory, and I
I
don't
know.
like animals suffering, and but
Right.
but it's important that we understand
Hmm.
just the high price of the redemption of sin.
Right.
There,
He
it's
suffered.
not just the blood; it's Jesus
Yeah.
didn't die by attaching leeches to him and sucking his blood out. It was
Right.
a very cruel and suffering and
Right.
agonizing. The to this day, we've not invented a more. Oh, by the way, do you know what the word you're the
Mm.
language expert?
Yeah, but you'll
Excruciating,
get me. Right.
excruciating pain. We all use that phrase, don't we?
Hmm.
So, what does excruciating translate?
Well, I don't know that I'm not a walking dictionary by any means, but
Well, think
it's
of
definitely
think
a
of
high level.
well,
But go
think of
ahead.
excruciate like out of the cross,
Right.
out of the cross. The
Hmm.
highest degree of pain that we can express would be excruciating, as in crucify.
Right. Right. That's
Got it?
good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There,
That's really good
that
because what
could
we,
be the winning answer on a game show, and if you're on
oh,
it and you
yeah.
use that and win, I expect a check. Okay,
Okay. I'll give you 10%.
will work. How much did you learn about gems on this little adventure?
Oh my goodness. I'm a total rock hounding nerd now, it was so much fun learning about these different gemstones, and like for instance, the emerald is pretty cool because the emerald, now let me come back up to a diamond. When you buy a diamond, you go by the four C's. The cut, the
Cut,
clarity is
clarity.
very important. And you don't want the inclusions, so you want a clear diamond, and those inclusions lower the price
Right.
of the diamond. But an emerald is something different because it's inclusions, and it's the stuff, the junk that's in it makes it unique. So every emerald is unique because of its flaws. And it's like, if you put that, bring that home, we are each flawed,
Mm,
but it makes us who we are. Whether those flaws are, good and bad. I mean, you've heard the saying, their best characteristic is also their worst characteristic, or the very thing that makes them who they are is also their flaw, because somebody can be way too much. A discerning person, that's a good characteristic to be discerning. It's a spiritual gift, but that can also turn into a critical person because of our discernment. So the very thing that makes you different makes you an individual, and the flaws in an emerald make it unique, just like our flaws make us unique.
Well,
And
I was reading today on Facebook. We all talk about mountaintops. There is no path to the mountaintop without going through a valley.
right,
There's no path.
right.
Coaching is one that fascinates me, Stephanie, because coaches,
Hmm.
the good ones, they all suffer the same thing, and it's their own. It's the thing that made them great to begin with. They won't quit. They
Right,
persevere, and coaches
right.
stay too long.
Mm.
They stay too long. Rather than getting out while they could ride out high on the saddle into the sunset, they hang on until things go downhill, and they wind up getting fired because they won't quit. They
Right.
don't know when to quit. And it's an irony.
Hmm.
Diamonds are, formed under pressure. No
Right,
pressure,
right.
no diamond. It's just a chunk of
Exactly.
coal.
Yeah, and the pink diamonds, which are sometimes called fancy diamonds, because diamonds aren't just white, they can be very different colors. They have purple, they have black, they have pink, they have blue, like the Hope diamond was
Hmm.
a blue diamond. But the pink diamond is especially expensive because there aren't many of them, and where they are formed, there was seismic activity. So
Hmm.
they were under a unique amount
Hmm.
of pressure, more so than a regular diamond. And but because of that, they're almost never they almost never have a lot of inclusions in them, which makes them the more the pressure makes them more perfect.
Well, and
And of
a
course, we
rough
can tie that
diamond,
in with our life.
when you think about our lives, we are in the potter's hands. We are the
Hmm.
clay. A rough diamond is not that attractive, but
Yeah,
a
it's
very skilled diamond cutter can see where the inclusions
oh
are, and
yeah,
he can
yeah.
just there's a lot of discernment and discretion going on up here as to would it be better to have one
Right.
larger diamond that includes that little inclusion, or do we make a perfect
Hmm.
diamond but smaller, because they're trying to get the most revenue out of the thing,
Right.
bottom line.
Right.
But that's a skill.
And yeah, and the opals are pretty interesting in that same
I love
regard. You
those,
made
yeah.
me remember.
Yeah.
Hmm?
I love opals. They're just too
Yeah,
soft, they're too fragile, brittle.
right. But they're in rocks usually. And
Hmm.
so I watch this channel on YouTube because this is the nerd that I've become. But he 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 cuts these opals out of the rocks, but he shaves them, and it's a real art to it because opals sometimes as you go down you get more color and you get this
Hmm.
beautiful blue hues
Hmm.
with all these other colors. And Romans actually valued opals more than any other stone because they had all the colors in them, and they thought they were a mixture of diamonds and rubies and emeralds. So they valued opals over everything. And so it was a pretty cool story, but to watch them, you know, sand them down and knowing where do I stop and when have I gone too far
Hmm.
and how much of the stone should I get off of here to reveal more of the color of the opal. It's a very interesting process. So it's I tried
Yes.
even to talk my daughter, you should go into jewelry making and stuff like that. It's so cool. She's like, no, I don't
Yes.
want to do that.
One too many episodes of YouTube. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That paragon of intellectual rigor.
Yep.
The,
Not knowing when to stop.
yeah. Yeah. No. I know we've been talking about your books. Let's get through the mechanics. 13 chapters. Can be
13
used
chapters.
as is it like a devotional each chapter, or is
No,
this more of a study guide?
this is a study. So I have it beside me, but there are fill in the blanks. There's lots of scripture to read, and I take you not just through Hebrews. You're going to read what we call the Torah, and
Hmm.
those are the first five books of the Bible. and because Hebrews is really rooted in the Torah, and so we have to explore it. And it's also rooted. There's a lot of Psalm scriptures in it, scriptures from Psalms, I should say. And when I taught this class at my church, they were like, I literally need 2 or 3 Bibles in front of me to keep one in Hebrews, to keep one in like Exodus or Deuteronomy, and keep one in everything else that you'd have me turn to, so I don't have to keep going back to Hebrews. And so you learn the books of the Bible pretty well. But I have you go back. I do word studies. I do stories. I have a lot of personal stories. Like there's one that I tell about my dog, my German Shepherd, Sophie. We all agree in this family that this dog has the most expressive eyes. When she sees you, when she's outside and she sees you in the window, she will literally just stop and look at you. And she puts her ears back and she just sits there and adores you. And it's like so incredibly loving. And so I remember this one particular day, I was just talking to the Lord, and I was like, how do you show me you love me? I know you love me in the Bible, but how am I missing signs of how you show me you love me each day? And I didn't, it wasn't like I heard anything, or he answered that prayer right away. But when later in the day, I went outside and I went to go get my dogs, and for whatever reason, I had put Sophie in. That's what it was. I had come home and I went to go get Sophie out of her kennel because she's a little bit of a jumper. And so when I brought her out of her big kennel, she stopped and she just looked at me. She was so happy to see me, and she's just looking at me so adoringly. And instantly the Lord said, that's how I look at you. And it was just like, oh, it was such a real thing for me to experience that it almost choked me up, because I was just like, really? That's how you see me?
And it's unconditional.
Right.
Their love is so...
Like a dog.
Now, I hate to disappoint you, but my German Shepherd does that too, and it anticipates when I'm coming home. But they're so cute because
they are.
Once they get over the initial excitement of seeing, then they want to go outside, and run, and my dog just twirls around. He'll run in little circles, and he won't be still, and he'll go and he'll chase the ball and he'll bring it back to you. But if you try to reach for it, he won't let you have it. But he brings it up to you.
Yeah. I know. Mine do the same thing.
Their mannerisms are just, and I just thank God. I literally thank God for giving us these wonderful creatures, because like you, I can be having a bad day,
Oh, I know.
And that dog just calms you down.
Yeah.
And you begin... sometimes I literally go to thedodo.com, which is a dog, pet animal site. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly
because,
what you're saying.
no matter how strung out you are, no matter how angry you are, you know what, if you'll watch that for a little bit, those other things just kind of melt. They're still there. They're still there, but you start thinking, what's important? Am I going to let those other things ruin my life? And I think if people spend enough time on Facebook, Twitter, you name it, you will begin to think everything is so bad. And I just love to see, and some of the things that humans do, rescuing animals, and some of the things animals rescuing humans. I mean, come on, folks, get some perspective, okay? I do care who's going to be the president. I do care about these things, right? But you know what? You can't control it. But don't miss life. Don't miss life, because God is...
Oh, and I'm the same way. Yeah. I thank God every night. Whenever I pray, I always go through all my animals, and, if you know me, JD and I have this duck butt thing going, and because I love my ducks, and so he'll do hashtag duck butt, and because they're the cutest thing when they're upside down in the water, and their little butts are sticking out, and their feathers are
No,
just kind of shaking.
and you see those feet
Yeah,
kicking, and
yeah,
they're just kicking the air.
yeah, yeah. We used to have in our pond. We used to have all these frogs, and we had so many frogs, and then we would have probably hundreds, well, thousands of eggs. The frog eggs. Oh no, not anymore. We hardly have a single frog because the ducks eat all the eggs. And
Mm,
so we don't have any
mm.
any new frogs.
You ever eat
So
frog
it's so
legs?
funny.
You eat
No,
frog legs?
no,
Oh, come on.
no, no.
Oh, oh, Stephanie.
And I
Oh,
don't eat my ducks either. I had duck once and I was really disappointed that I liked it. And so I didn't want to like it, but I did.
oh,
So,
gosh,
but
I just
yeah.
noticed the time.
Oh,
Quickly, the book is also got a little study guide. So if you want to do this in a
yes.
small
Yeah.
group,
And it has a leader's guide right at the very back. It has a leader's guide for anybody who wants to lead it. It kind of guides you through, gives you
mhm,
some sample questions, so you don't have to just figure out what to ask or what's most important.
good.
So
Well, I saw
yeah,
briefly in the chat room that your book was trending or number one or something on
yeah,
Amazon. So,
yeah.
congratulations. I don't know
Thank
what it's
you.
like. I've never written a book, but based on working with you and all the others, it must be
Right.
akin to giving birth. Although I've never done that either.
Yeah, that's why it gets
Um,
called a book baby.
it is. Well, we can't wait to hear how well it's going. Anything?
Yes.
Tell me what the future holds, real quick. Christmas coming up. Any more books on the horizon? What's going on?
Well, because I do Twitter, the Healthy Faith for Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to do, we did a whole thing on the Beatitudes, and I became just so in love with the Beatitudes and their deeper meaning. And so I'm really wanting to write a study on the Beatitudes. So that might be my next project.
I look forward to that. I've been
Yeah.
fascinated by the word beatitudes. It's like I know what be is, I
Mm-hmm.
know what attitude is, but what's a beatitude? Is that I be having a bad attitude or a good attitude? I don't know. Anyway,
Well, I'll give you a little hint, but it actually means it's not like we say blessed is the one or blessed
uh-huh.
is he. It's actually mean, oh, the blessedness of. And that's just such a cooler meaning.
No,
So that gives you a hint.
yeah, but I knew what excruciating meant. All right, now,
Yes, you did.
Stephanie,
You
thank you
got
for
me. Thank you.
thank you for sharing with us. Can't wait to hear next month.
Thank you
Enjoy.
for
Go check
having
out the
me.
chat room. Lot of shout outs going on over there. You'll want to see.
Okay,
All righty, have a
I
good
will.
one.
Thank you.
All right, Stephanie Pavlantos here on pjnet.tv. There you see the view high atop the Eagle's Nest. And you know what? Michelle Medlock Adams is standing by. Let me clear all this. I got all these new studios. Too many buttons to learn. Okay. She's on her way, and she forgot her headphones or something. So I got to go talk to her. We'll be back at the bottom of the hour with Michelle Medlock Adams. Before I leave, please ask yourself these two questions. Well, not ask, answer. What's the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ? Number two, when was it? Let's not be satisfied with either answer.